Hi, Emmitt. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll open up to questions.
All right.
Go ahead, Greg Hunter.
So, Emmitt, everyone seems to have a story about what they did during quarantine from March through July or whenever you came back. So, what was yours? What'd you do? Where'd you go? What'd you work on?
Well, I went home, and as we all know, Washington was not in the best condition with everything going on at first. So I went home, and I probably sat in the house and played a lot of Xbox for the first week, and I was able to work out outside. And then, a week or two after that, I was able to find a gym, and I was able to work out with some guys that, I kind of grew up with. And, a few of those guys like Malachi Flynn, who is in the NBA draft, a point guard from San Diego State. And then David Jenkins, who is preseason, I think he's preseason player of the year. He's at UNLV. Alfonso Anderson, he's at Utah State right now. So I was able to work out with some pretty good guys out there. I was also able to work out with DeJounte Murray. So, I had ample time to get a lot of workouts in. And, I was home for, 3 months, I want to say. So, being there, being able to work out with those guys and just work on all of my skills, not just one thing, because, I'm going against some of the top players in the country. So, while doing that and, perfecting my craft, and pretty much just had a lot of fun while I was back home, enjoyed the time, because that's probably the major thing that I've missed since being out here. I've never really had time to go home for a long period of time. I think the longest I went home for was maybe 10 days. Oh, no, before Spain, we all went home for a month, but that was the first time I've been home. I felt like I was in high school still. So,
John and Tonic.
Hey, Em, and I'll ask you this. I asked Jordan this before. The best team this year might not be the most talented team. It might be the team that stays intact the longest because of the virus. Have you guys talked about that, about how you to stay healthy, to realize the goals that you want this year?
I think we talk about it almost every day. I feel like you said, this year isn't going to be the team that's the best or the most skilled or the tallest. It's going to be the team that is really just the most resilient. And we're all college students. At the end of the day, you get to college. Obviously, partying is one thing that, obviously we all have to give up. You don't have time to go hang out all the time. You don't have time. You can't really do that because, for one, we're getting tested every 3 days. And if one of your tests pops up positive, you're sitting out for 10 days, and then you got to do all the other tests to make sure your heart and everything is okay. So, I think just we all have kind of voiced our opinion on that. And, if we do want to all hang out, we'll all come together as a team, and we'll go to one of the players' apartments and get some pizza, and we'll, watch some of the games. And that's about, what we're used to now. That's kind of the new lifestyle. So.
Real quick, I'm guessing because you're an athlete, you're used to sacrifices anyway.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So general students maybe don't have are asked to do the sacrifices that you guys have to do.
No, not at all. Obviously it's different for a normal student. You have kids that don't really care, and then you have kids that do care and whatnot. So there's kids that go out all the time, and you see it on their Snapchat, Instagram stories, and, they're all having that fun time. But, it's just one of those sacrifices. We all have a goal in, which is to win a national championship. So, we got to give up those things for that. I'm fine with that.
Go ahead, Greg.
Emmitt, so go back to last year. You started really well. Then, as you've talked about, you hit a slump and then finished strong as well. So what do you think was part of the slump? So what did you work on in the offseason to hopefully avoid that the next time around?
I honestly just worked on, trying to be more consistent. Obviously, that was one of the problems I ran into last year. And, that was my first year kind of being in a bigger role. And, I didn't know what was expected of me. So I kind of was just going out there the first few games and just doing whatever. And, it was working. And then, when the game didn't work for me, I just kind of folded up into a ball. And I kind of went back to what I was doing freshman year instead of, staying resilient and being confident and going out there and just playing my game. So, this year I'm kind of just going to be more confident. A lot of it is just, being right mentally and going out there and knowing that, I'm going to play my game and not worry about all the other stuff that's going on.
Cody Nesper.
Hey, Emmitt. So you, Jordan, and Derek are the longest tenured Mountaineers right now. Do you feel like you're one of the older guys, one of the veterans? And then, just from you being here the longest, do you feel like you're now able to kind of show guys the ropes and explain to them how everything works with Huggins and the system and everything?
I feel like I honestly feel like for me, Derek and Jordan, we were able to do that last year. I think last year, I'm not sure how many new guys we brought in, but I know we brought in a bunch. And over that summer when we were back home, the coaches, they voiced to us like, when we get all these new guys here, they're going to need help along the way, and it's not going to be easy because you're going to have guys that are knuckleheads that don't want to listen at first, but once they get it and they start to listen, they'll start playing better. And I think that's going into this year. It's been a little easier because we have guys coming back like Taz, we have Gabe. We got a lot of guys that came back from last year's team. So, we got two freshmen or 2 or 3 freshmen, and we got Keydrian. So it's been easy to get those guys rolling because everybody's been here, so to say. I mean, even if you've been here for a year, you can kind of help out, and you can show everybody along. And I think we all know what to expect from Hugs at this point. We've all been here for the summer. We've seen enough of Hugs so far, and we all know what to expect.
Greg Hunter.
So, Emmitt, one of those new guys or semi-new guys is the guy behind you in Jalen Bridges. So, have you taken him under your wing? What do you see out of Jalen?
What I see out of Jalen, I mean, Jalen's got me by about an inch. So, when Jalen first got here, over the recruitment process, it wasn't easy to, try to get him to come here. He was just torn beside, leaving home or wanting to move away and stuff. And so when we locked him in as a commit, I committed to, making him the best that he can be. So, every day I try to push him because I know what his potential is. And he's long-armed, he's tall, he can shoot the ball really well, he can get to the basket, he can finish. And there's not really anything in his game that I don't like at the time. I mean, he's been phenomenal since we've started up, and I think he's only going to get better. I mean, obviously he's a freshman technically, but having that redshirt year and being able to get out there, especially with the guys last year, and he kind of just feeds right into the system. And obviously having him behind me is going to help me because I really wasn't able to get a lot of breaks last year. So,
Kevin Kinder.
Other than playing basketball, what's the best way for you to get to know other guys, get to know what makes them tick a little bit?
It's really interesting. We have a lot of guys, and we have a lot of guys that they're into different things. So, when we get a guy like Keydrian, he's from down south, and I already know Taz. Taz is from down south, and I think their cities are not too far apart from each other. So, I know what to expect from Taz. So when Keydrian came here, I kind of expected the same thing. Keydrian's just a little different. I think he's more Southern than Taz. Don't tell him I said that. So, other than that, I think, playing Xbox, playing PlayStation, whatever it is with your teammates, just hanging out with them, just talking to them, learning a little bit about them, hearing their story, hearing where they come from. Little things like that. I mean, it's really anything. You kind of just pick everything up that they give to you, and then you kind of just really become friends with them. So.
Okay, we'll go to Cody Nesper.
So I want to ask you about Jermaine. Just with all the different roles he played on the team last year, is it going to have to be like a team-wide effort to replace everything that he did?
I don't think so. I think, Jermaine was really big for this team, and I think he was really big, for, I think, Deuce kind of came out along the way, and I think it took some of the slack off of Jermaine having to play point guard. Obviously Jermaine played the 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you name it, he was playing it. But I think the difference between last year's team and this year's team is we don't need a guy that can play that many positions because we have so many guys that already play that position. We have a whole bunch of point guards. We have a whole bunch of shooting guards. We now have 3 wings. We have Gabe down there with the bigs. We have a whole bunch of guys, and I think the good thing about this year's team is we have so many guys that's versatile. And, I can play – I think this year I'll be able to play the 2, 3, and the 4. Obviously Gabe can play the 3, 4, and probably play the 5 if he wanted. Deuce is a flex. Deuce can go anywhere he wants on the court. I mean, it just depends on where they want to throw him at. I just think this team is so much different from last year. I honestly think it's a complete turnaround. I think, just bringing Oscar back and Derek back and just bringing everybody back, knowing what to expect, and then obviously everybody getting better over the summer is just going to help us as a team.
Any other questions for Emmitt? All right, Emmitt. Appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
All right, you guys have a good one.